The new Pokemon anime, Pokemon Horizons, has arrived, and just as quickly as we said goodbye to Ash and Pikachu, we say hello to Liko and Sprigatito. And 3 episodes in, there's a ton of opinions out there all about just what this change means for the future of the Pokemon anime. Some people didn't care for the changes made, while others are huge fans of them. But I think that Dex and I have a fair amount of our own opinions we'd like to share today.
Absolutely. Pokemon Horizons so far is a breath of fresh air, but it's not without its flaws. I don't want to be overly critical though, especially since we're only 3 episodes in, so I'd like to focus more on what I like about this iteration of the Pokemon anime. Let's start off with the characters, as I think for many, they are going to be the make or break factor on if they even want to deal with the Pokemon anime anymore now that Ash and Pikachu are gone. And in my opinion, I don't really think anyone has anything to worry about. Yes, a beloved character that we grew up with is gone, but Liko, her Sprigatito, and the rising Volt Tacklers are all very charming and have a lot of personality. The very first few scenes really set the tone for what this show is going to be like, featuring a more whimsical, orchestral soundtrack and a more real setting in such a fantastical world. While Liko and Sprigatito have an introduction that you'd kind of expect, her being a little clueless with her brand new partner being a tad obstinate at first, they eventually warm up to each other and try to figure out their acts together.
It's kind of nice to see Liko enjoy the school for a bit, considering I don't think we're going to be seeing too much of it over the course of the series. Now, I could be wrong, naturally, and I kind of hope that I am, but I thought it was a nice-looking location, and I love seeing all the different Pokemon that they had roaming the campus. The Poliwhirl watering some plants, a Machop that works for the bus depot, and miscellaneous other Pokemon that are owned by the trainers that attend the school, like Machoke, Espeon, Slowbro, I love that Slowbro, and there were others making appearances too. There were also a fair amount of different starters at this school, and seeing the fact that students basically were able to just get any one of the starters that they wanted from all the different regions was pretty cool. I mean, I've always wanted to just be given an option among all the starters to start out my game, but I guess that is a feature best left to Mystery Dungeon at this point. Speaking of the battling, we get a lot of Charizard and a lot of Ceruledge in these first few episodes duking it out against each other, which is sure to make any longtime viewer happy since, Charizard.
Oh yeah, you know it, baby cakes. That's another great point to talk about here, the animation. I'm not sure how the general Pokemon anime watcher feels, but I certainly appreciate some good Sakuga, and I really think Horizons is going to deliver on that. It's not exactly the same loose, soft art that you would expect from Sun and Moon or even Journeys, but it's still very light and can easily create some fantastic looking moments in the future for sure. I also want to touch on what you mentioned about seeing all of the other different Pokemon just doing different activities. What I really appreciate about this is that it feels a bit more naturally incorporated than in the past. Like, before, seeing new Pokemon always made it feel super like, hey look, it's this new Pokemon, so interesting, right? Whereas here, it all feels a little bit more natural. There's not a lot of emphasis on these things, they're just there and they behave like they belong there. I guess what you could say is that this show makes me feel that we all live in a Pokemon world.
I definitely hope that this anime happens to kick up the Sakuga a bit on a more consistent basis. I think that's what could end up separating a little bit from the beginnings of the original anime, which didn't exactly look great all the time. It had its charm, don't get me wrong, but nothing was wowing quite like Pikachu or Charizard going up against the Ceruledge in these episodes. As for having new Pokemon, they definitely showcased the starters pretty nicely. Sprigatito is in the hands of our MC Liko, and it looks like Roy will get Fuecoco, perhaps even the one that's living on the airship already. As for Quaxly, it seems to just be hanging about. I think there was the one that was on the airship, and there seems to be one with the Nido thing, a popular streamer that ends up teaching us all about cool things, like type advantages and sending out Pokemon to battle. These are the first few episodes. I'll cut them some slack on the introductory kind of stuff. I guess, it's great for newbies to the series, which I would have to assume at this point is just going to be small children coming across the show on Japanese television, or perhaps Netflix in the States whenever it comes out of that platform. Didn't really get any other new Pokemon, though, I don't believe, aside from the starters, I have to assume we'll be seeing some more when we meet Roy and the other characters. Though I guess it's fair to ask, where might this anime end up taking place? I mean, we know it's in Kanto right now, and I feel like at the end of the 3rd episode they referenced possibly going to Paldea. I just wonder if it'll be like Journeys, where we bounce around or keep things a bit more localized.
I'm fairly certain they'll be bouncing around from region to region, though maybe in a way that mixes both of these scenarios together. Instead of a new region every week, maybe every arc in the series could have them in the many different regions that we've grown accustomed to. I am interested in what the story structure will be like, as it seems like they are going the approach of having a large overarching story to tell. Liko with her mysterious pendant, Roy and his neato Pokeball, and whatever the goals of both the Volt Tacklers and the Explorers are. I know Ash had his goal of being a Pokemon Master, Go wanting to catch one of every Pokemon, and so on, but those were things only for the character. These stories feel like they will probably all converge into one epic tale, not being bound to just an individual character. What I'm trying to say here is that it feels like the story will be more for us, the audience.
I love the sound of that, and quite frankly, that is what I was wanting from Pokemon this whole time. I, like many others, fell out of the anime as a child. When 2005 rolled around, I wasn't really caring about the anime anymore, and I struggled to get back into it later when it was easy to consume it from its start. But this anime feels a lot different, with it aiming to tell more of a potentially forward-thinking story, and with a lot of mystery at least surrounding Roy's Pokeball, since I'm pretty sure a lot of what's going on with Liko's pendant might just be explained to us with the upcoming Scarlet and Violet DLC if the anime doesn't get to it first. It gives me a lot of confidence that we're in for a riveting adventure that feels more natural. An adventure that features Pokemon as opposed to a Pokemon adventure. That said, I've been very impressed by the background music in this. It reminds me an awful lot of some music I'd be hearing in anime from 40 years ago. And that sort of nostalgic sound pulled me in even more. It's like I had on an episode of Macross or Dragon Ball in a way.
The music is absolutely wonderful, and I definitely encourage all of you to give it a real hard listen, as I'm sure you'll appreciate it. Now, with all of that said, I did say that I didn't feel these episodes were perfect, and there definitely are some pitfalls that I hope that the series doesn't fall into in the future. I wasn't the hugest fan of the pacing of episodes 2 and 3, as they kind of felt like they could have just been shortened down into one episode. I do think that, depending on how long they actually extend the story out, this could be a problem and make the story feel less compelling as time goes on. Or worse, default back to what we've already had with Ash and company for like the last 25 years. And not that those adventures were bad, but what's the point of having a fresh start if you just decided to default back to what you're used to? I assume Liko and Roy, at the very least, will be our MCs for at least the next 3 years, so I really hope what they wanted to do with them was thought through.
I think the more time between any potential gym battles is definitely the better in my book. I also hope that we see some interesting Pokemon on the teams of our two protagonists. I don't want to see one of them get a Quaxly, or a Pikachu, or any other starter Pokemon. I'm talking about some rough and raw Pokemon. I want to see one of these two with a Durant, or a Diggersby. Maybe even a Kabutops? No bias there, I swear. Honestly, I was kind of hoping that this series would take a page out of other anime of the time and not run non-stop, week after week. That leads to a more consistent keep-up of quality, but I have to figure there's no way TV Tokyo would just take Pokemon out of the rotation for possibly 3 to 6 months at a time, so I just hope that the level of writing, animation, and fun can be maintained week in and week out, because I found myself wanting more after the first 3 episodes were up, and I'm sad I gotta wait a week to watch it continue.
Hey, the day that they let Pokemon be off air for 3 or more months at a time is the day that they start simulcasting and simuldubbing it so we don't have to wait so long to see it. At the very least, we can watch it live from the comfort of our Hokkaido apartments. So, overall, my thoughts on Pokemon Horizons are this. It's a great start, and I definitely think this is a direction many fans have wanted out of Pokemon for a long time. We just gotta hope there was a game plan when they made this decision. Otherwise, Ash had to visit that anime protagonist farm for nothing. What do you think, Prime?
I never even leave the Hokkaido apartments. People would be horrified if they saw me walking around. I mean, this is Japan after all. They're scared of kaiju. That aside, my overall thoughts echo yours quite a bit. We've got a great start on our hands, a cast of new characters that seem enjoyable, and most importantly, a mystery that can easily grab us in and potentially bring in a lot of people who previously were not invested in Pokemon's television escapades. I just want to see more cool battles, hear more great music, and feel a little bit more like I'm watching a real show and not just an advertisement.
Hey, I hear that. But what do you all think? Are you enjoying what Pokemon Horizons is offering so far, or do you miss Ash and Pikachu far too much that you can't even think straight? Definitely let us know in the comments below.
I expect a long, perfectly formatted essay in the comments from everyone. Also let us know how you feel about us talking about the anime. Maybe we'll do it more in the future. For now though, we're done. So I'm the Prime Roy Rective.
And I'm Coleco Dexter.
And we'll see you all next time.